Hello, YouTube. Hi. Let me know in the comments or in the chat that you are live. Welcome to this masterclass. Today we're talking about toxic friends versus elevated friendships. Oops, let me just. Oops. I hadn't muted my laptop. Okay, so I've got some Palo Santo burning here. So you'll see the smoke to clear the energy and prepare the space. Go ahead and light my candle. Welcome in. As you're coming in, take some deep breaths and center yourself so that you can receive this information. I am obsessed with Palo Santo. I love it. Oh my goodness, it's life-changing. Welcome in, everyone. All right, let's get started. Take some deep breaths to center yourself. Sacred Sisterhood. We're talking about how to activate life-giving friendships. Welcome in. So as you know, a lot of my master classes and my content is very geared towards what you guys want, what you're experiencing, what are your next level challenges. So as I go through this content, I have some content prepared for you. I will also be looking in the chat box as you're participating live, and your elevated questions will help me guide where I need to take this masterclass and what kind of resources and information and guidance you guys are looking for. Now, when I say elevated questions, I'm not a fan of, you guys know, of victimhood. I believe in free will. I believe in personal power. I believe in the power of choices. I believe in the power of the voice, the words that we use. So I want some elevated questions. I don't want victimhood. So let's get started. So we're all familiar with the term toxic relationships, toxic friendships. And what is the opposite of that? To me, the opposite of toxic anything is life-giving, life force enhancing. And I'm going to go through my 4 stages of goddess evolution and give you what I think, what that looks like in terms of friendship. And then I'll give you guys some tips on how to elevate the kind of relationships and friendships you have in your life. And after that, I will also be sharing some personal stories and examples of how I did this in my own life. And then I will be answering questions. The stages of goddess I'm referring to are my 4 archetypes that I created, and this is a free ebook that you can get off of my email list. If you are already on my email list, go to any of the emails and scroll down to the bottom and there's a link to get it. If you don't have this free ebook, then there's a link in the description box. The 4 stages are basic babe, self-aware Barbie, million-dollar babe, and high-end divinity. I think most of my usual followers are pretty familiar with this by now, but if you're not, you can go ahead and grab that. Welcome in, everyone. Vidya said, Mina, you're glowing from within. Love you. Thank you so much. Maybe you guys are shining light on me and that's reflected back. Thank you so much. Sabina said, I'm so glad I finally caught you live. You inspired me and actually helped me. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Corpian said, so happy to catch you live. Thank you so much, ladies. So when we're in, and remember, this isn't about judgments. We all need to go through each of these stages to get to our high level of consciousness. And it's always a journey. There's no like, here's your PhD in consciousness. You no longer have to do any spiritual growth or any work. I believe that our soul's mission here on earth and choosing to be incarnated in this life is personal growth and development, and the soul wants to be reunited with the one creator. And the more it evolves in its consciousness and goes back to pure love light, the closer and closer it is to becoming back one with its creator. So we are all created in God's image. I truly, truly believe this. We all have divinity in us, but we get stuck in this very dense 3D plane and often forget that we are actually spiritual beings having a very small human experience. So when we're in the basic babe mode, we not only attract toxic, addicting friendships, we seek them out. And when I am talking about toxic friendships or sisterhood, I don't mean sisterhood in the sense that friendships just between females. Sisterhood is just as much about female friendships with their brothers, with men in their life. And so sisterhood is about being a divine sister to all creatures and all human beings, regardless of their gender or anything else. So I just want to make that clear. But in this feminine energy work, in our spiritual work, I have really, oh my God, who knew that female friendships would be the foundation of my spiritual work? I mean, they're such a necessary component. If you had said this to me 4, 5, 6 years ago, I would have said, hell no, they're so toxic, they're so draining. No way I'm doing this on my own. But as you'll learn, I was in my self-aware Barbie mode at the time. So this work is really life-changing as it transforms every area of your life. So in the basic babe mode, you not only attract a lot of toxic friends, a part of you in your subconscious seeks them out, and you're so addicted by that. It's like a cocaine or a heroin addiction. Like, you seek it out. And how to know if this is you is, if you have an encounter, a toxic encounter by someone, you want to keep the high going. And the way that the basic babe keeps the high going is she makes sure that she tweets about it, posts on Facebook about it, calls at least 3 or 4 friends, recounts the whole experience, gets into long conversations on social media about this thing that happened to her. As you can see, she got that one hit of toxic whatever, but she couldn't just walk away from that, because a part of her just craves that. Like, she loves it, right? She complains about it. She says how much she hates it, can't believe people are like this. But everyone else can clearly see that she loves it, because if she didn't, that one moment of toxic encounter would not have spilled over into her other life. Like, she would have been like, oh, strange, and walked away, and then that's it. You would not have heard about it. So it's like you can tell it's an addiction. She has to do this. She has to keep going. She will tell her partner, her sister, her mother, her friends, her social media friends, her colleagues, like, everyone needs to hear about it, because she needs to keep reliving it to keep getting her high. So that's the basic babe stage. Let me know in the chat if you've been there or if you've experienced this. And I'll be the first to admit I have also been there, and I've also experienced this on the other end with seeing it in other people. So I've been on both ends. So again, this isn't about judgments. It's about spiritual growth. It's about elevating our consciousness and really going to the next level. Alice said, I would love to be able to travel to the US and participating in your retreats. Oh, Alice, that would be wonderful. I would love to have you. In fact, the reason I'm having these discussions is that at my last retreat, there was one of my clients there who said, oh my God, Mina, I didn't even know what elevated sisterhood looked like until I attended this. Because she's like, in my mind, I was like, what's elevated sisterhood? Like, women are so manipulative, they're so toxic, they're so draining. So like, it was an aha moment for me too. It made me realize that when I use the word elevated sisterhood, a lot of people have no clue what that actually feels like. They have no idea. And that's why I decided that I was going to spend 2020 doing more in-person things, so people can actually come in and feel the energy of elevated sisterhood. And yeah, that it's really life-changing. Maggie said, Mina, although I have not seen you live lately, I have been working on your programs and I'm learning so much about my feminine self. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, Maggie. I know I see you commenting in all of the paid programs and stuff. Thank you so much. I'm watching all your old videos with you and Irfan. I'm healing my life. I want to have a better, I think part of that was cut off. Well, thank you so much. Welcome in, everyone. So we talked about how the how the basic babe engages with toxic friends. And so let's, I don't want to share this information and not tell you how to come out of that. So if you are in that mode, if you're in the basic babe mode, notice that that you do have this need to keep that negative toxic high going by sharing. So if you have a negative encounter, a toxic encounter, decide at that moment that you're going to clear your energy and you're not going to share it with anyone. That you're going to, I shared a video in my High Value Worthy Woman Facebook group yesterday how the difference between sharing joy with someone versus toxic venting. So this is toxic venting. You're venting because you like that high of the like you're addicted to that high of the toxic feelings. So that's why you keep dumping that out on people so you can keep feeling it. But no one else needs to be infected by that, and you definitely don't need to be making yourself more and more addicted. So make that decision that I'm going to journal. Maybe there's so many rituals. Oh my God, you can write it out and burn it. Sacred smoke is a very healing and has a lot of amazing releasing and cleansing properties. Do this in your sink. Always practice safe, fire burning, practices, of course. Be safe. If you're under 18, ask an adult to find you another way to do this. You can also rip up the paper. You can dance. You can do some sacred dancing, releasing, but make that decision that you're not going to keep sharing. And let me tell you something, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be very hard. Like, you will notice that you're going to make that decision that I'm not going to share this toxic thing that happened to me with everyone that I know, but you're going to do it anyways. And that's how you know that you're addicted, because you can't not do it. So be gentle with yourself, have grace. Let the people that are closest to you know that you're trying to change this about yourself, and ask for help and advice, so that they can kind of keep you on track. Someone said, I caught myself this morning with a Facebook post. I was about to add my 2 cents to someone's rating when I stopped myself. I knew there was no point to it. Exactly. Because why poison your nervous system because you need to make a point on Facebook, right? So it has no point. I love that you were able to catch yourself in that before the act, because a lot of times we catch ourselves after the fact, right? I shared with the hope that I may get some solution to the problem. Is that also toxic? The only solution to the problem is within you. And if you watched my video yesterday that I did on Facebook, I talked about where it's like healthy sharing. It's healthy sharing when it's like, let's say it's 3 or 4 times a year when some actual crisis happens, right? The other thing is you're open to feedback, meaning if the person gives you feedback, you're actually willing to make changes, versus when they give you feedback, you've got an answer and more venting. They give you feedback, you've got an answer and more venting. You're addicted. The other way to do it is this person qualified to help you in this? Meaning that's something that they overcame themselves and you look up to this person. They're a coach, a therapist, a counselor, a member of your church or your temple, or are you doing it to everyone? Secondly, is this person that you chose intentionally, or if this person doesn't answer the phone, you're going to call 4 other people? If really become mindful of this and be really honest, because the ego has a way of telling us these lies. It's just like if you listen to someone that was addicted to a drug, they would give you every excuse of why they should just do it this one time, right? This one more time, and then they'll quit tomorrow. So if you're sounding like a drug addict, you're addicted to the chemical soup that is produced. Emotions, negative emotions, and also positive emotions, but negative emotions especially are highly addictive. They actually have a chemical soup type of experience that they release into our body, and we're highly addictive to it. This is why we have such a hard time stopping negative thoughts, because we're addicted to those thoughts. It's not impossible, but it takes a lot of work. That's exactly the definition of inner work. It takes work and effort. Great information, Mina. Tammy said, have noticed recently a need to find healthy friendships. This is such great advice. I can feel the difference when I'm more intentional about who I speak to and what I'm talking about. Yes, it's keeping the problem in the mind to avoid feeling it in the body. Bingo. Bingo, Abby. That's it. That's it. Okay, so Sakina said, Mina, you're so right. Especially nowadays, we share our problems on Facebook group in order to get solutions, but not all people are trained to provide us advice. Oh, Sakina, you opened a can of worms with that comment. Don't get me started on this, because I have been running successful Facebook groups and social media platforms for many years now. And yes, ma'am, a lot of times, there's many different people, different types of people that fall in this category. But many times the advice that we're seeking is it's a facade. It's a false kind of, you're hiding behind the wanting advice to just vent. It's the toxic vent. It's not healthy vent. You'll see it, because the people that come in and offer you support and guidance, you'll immediately blow more stuff on them, like dump more stuff. I don't even respond most of the time to these posts. Maybe I'll give them one little tidbit and then shut the thing down, because all they're wanting to do is come in there and dump on you, but they don't want a solution. And so this is like, and you know, some people say, well, what's the harm? You know, there is a harm. They're polluting that environment. These are sacred spaces, whether it's your home environment, whether it's your work environment, whether it's an online community. I have spent time creating a sacred space, and words have huge power, huge power. And so when people are coming and dumping that, the loving thing to do is help them shut that down. Because first of all, a lot of times they regret it. They will come back and say, oh my God, can you delete that post? My so-and-so saw it, or this happened, or my colleague saw it, and now it's circulating at work. So you're doing them a favor. And also, it's, to me, participating in toxic venting, it's like supplying someone with drugs. No, I don't want to be a part of that. No, thank you. So it really helps to shut it down. The second thing is that some people are honestly just looking for advice and support. They just want support. The problem is that in a group setting, when there's 3, 4, 5, 10,000 people, a lot of times, most of the world lives in fear consciousness and scarcity mindset. And so if a woman is kind of unsure and she makes a post asking a question, you know, I've trained my teacher trainees to respond in a certain way. I respond in a certain way. And then people who have gone through my programs will respond in a very elevated way. And then there's that fear consciousness. Oh, he's probably cheating on you, or he's probably doing. Stop infecting other people with your fear consciousness. The problem is they're so in it, they're swimming in it, they can't see it. So unfortunately, there's no way to really control that. As many posts as you make that only my teacher trainees and I'm going to coach, everyone else is just there for support. Hopefully by the end of this training, you will have a better understanding of how to respond to this in real life, how to really support your sisters in an elevated way without infecting them with your own fear consciousness. And this is important, really important, if you work with children or help children yourself, because the worst thing we can do is infect our children with all of our fear consciousness, scarcity mindset, all of our negative belief systems, right? This is why inner work is so important. This is why I'm so passionate about this. this is my soul's mission. I mean, it's in my birth chart, it's in my Akashic records. Like, this is my soul's mission to come here and elevate the collective consciousness. And it starts with one woman at a time, one woman at a time, as I say. So let's talk about self-aware Barbie, and then I'll take some questions. Thank you, Jasmine. Pratissa, I'll answer your question. Where do you recommend going to meet elevated friends? Short answer, inside of you, and then I'll expand on that. So self-aware Barbie is in this stage of consciousness. You're at that stage where you are so exhausted from the toxic friendships, and you've realized that you have some kind of a participation and some kind of an addiction to that. And so in this stage, you will avoid them. You will avoid toxic people like the plague. And I have been there. I have those YouTube videos where I was clearly in that stage where I was telling people to avoid those kind of people. So you can see me in that stage. That's why I think that my YouTube channel is such a rich library of over 1,300 videos of what really the journey, right? It's not like I'm some arrived person that was born this way. You can see me in my basic babe stage in many of my earlier videos. You can see me in my self-aware Barbie stage. You can see me in my $1 Million Babe manifesting stage. Like, you see that progression in my own consciousness. So in that level, you will avoid those people, and it's completely okay, completely normal part of your journey. The reason you need to avoid them in this stage is because you're trying to detox from that chemical soup addiction that we talked about. So this is, if I'm going to go back to the drug addict addiction, if you were in that, cleansing part, detoxing part as a drug addict, of course you wouldn't be hanging out with the people that were supplying you with drugs or were doing drugs with themselves. You would be maybe in a rehab facility or somewhere where you were a little bit isolated at the moment, but kind of going inward. Or maybe you would be surrounding yourself with people that were the complete polar opposite of those people, right? And please don't beat yourself up. I know that when I was in that stage, I would often be like, oh my God, I'm antisocial. Like, what's wrong with me, right? And I even had like family members and friends, like people that like were really close to me saying, you don't get along with anyone. Like, and that's okay. I needed to go through that stage and find out who I was, reconnect with my soul, become best friends with my soul, and then elevate myself so that I could be a vibrational match for these elevated friendships. Because the truth is, when you're in the basic babe or self-aware Barbie mode, elevated friends don't want you. You're not resonating on their plane. So it's not like there's no good friends out there, right? There's no elevated women. They don't want you, right? They can't, they're on a different plane, right? And this isn't a judgment thing. I get it, because I would meet women that were clearly elevated, and then I would see them distance themselves from me, and then I would go right back to the toxic, like, oh, well, at least I have these friends. So you have to be really honest. Like, are you a vibrational match for these elevated women? If not, they're not gonna be on your plane. They're on a different plane, right? You have to be really, really honest. You are such a beautiful example of the journey. Thank you so much, Abby. So sweet. Sandy said, you are so right. The person who I was ready to add my comment to on Facebook this morning is not looking for a solution or isn't able to heal. She's stuck in her misery, and misery loves company. Yes, she's in basic babe, and you need to leave her there, and you don't need to judge her, because we were there too. It's the, one of the greatest spiritual lessons that I've learned, and this is where you stop having judgments, is that your higher self, or your guides, or your archangels, or the higher beings, whatever you want to call these light beings that you connect with, aren't some other beings. They're you from the future. We can't wrap our head around that yet, because we're on this third density planet with a certain level of consciousness. But the reason that our guides and archangels and our higher being, when we really connect with them, are able to give us instant, like we immediately know the right track, we immediately get the answers that we need, they're on point, is because they're you from the future. So the reason I'm saying this to you is because there's no reason to just judge the basic babe. We've all been there. Many of us are still there. I still have moments where I was like, Mina, that was such a basic babe thought. Hello, shut that down. So it's a learning experience. It's a spiritual journey. It's a slow, delicious, yummy unfolding. So there's no judgment about, oh, you're a basic babe. None of that. I have proof that I was a basic babe on YouTube. I cringe. I don't watch my old videos because I can clearly see it. But that's okay. It's a learning experience. That's what I was here to do. Okay, so let's keep going. So in the self-aware Barbie, you're in the avoid mode. So how do you elevate yourself from that? Take your time in that mode. Take your time in that mode. And a great thing that you can do in that mode is make a friend love list. So when, I've done a ton of videos and I talk about this in my paid programs about the importance of having a love list. Don't take this lightly. Words are power. There's so much power in words, especially the written word. So it does a lot of things. One, it puts your values down on paper where you can clearly see them. And then secondly, the second part is you start to see if you are a vibrational match. So, oh my God, this is such a cringe-worthy story but I'm going to share it. When I made my friend love list, so this is like what kind of friends I want to attract. I looked at it and it was a beautiful list. And then I was like, am I a vibrational match for this? And then my heart sank. My heart sank because no, I wasn't. Because I was thinking, okay, let's say that I'm going to do some magical powers here. And this person is going to come out of the paper and sit in front of me. And I was like, oh my God, I would be so triggered by her. I would be like, I'm not worthy of her. Like, I would be like, there's no way. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is telling. No wonder I haven't been able to manifest these kind of friends because I'm not vibrating on their frequency. So the next question was, what do I need to do to up-level my frequency to that elevated level? And this took me a year of like really kind of unfolding that. And actually, to be honest with you, immediately after I made the list, a few weeks later, I started having girlfriends just come into my life, like new friends. I would go to get my nails done and someone would be like, hi, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. I live in the area and I would love to have lunch with you sometime. Just like stuff like that. But I hadn't completely healed through, but they started coming in. And so I was like, okay, I'm already calling these people in, and I'm guessing that because I'm already aware of my own shortcomings here and where I need to up level, they're going to help me in some way do it. And boy, did they. And many of them don't even know. And some of them know because I've had that conversation. But the love list was the key thing here because it helped me realize I'm the problem. I'm not vibrating on their level yet. So of course I haven't been calling them in, right? That's why I can't see them. They're on a different plane. That's why we can't see angels. They're on a different plane. So it's the same thing. They're very close, but we're not there yet. Okay? We have to clean up our energy first. So before we move on to the $1 million babe, is there any other questions? Thank you so much for this talk. You're welcome, Tammy. Jasmine said, hard to admit, but I find that I am sometimes that friend that is negative and notice others have distanced themselves from me at times. That takes so much courage. I have been there. I feel you. Oh my goodness. I so feel you on that. Oh my goodness. Thank you for being that honest and vulnerable because that was me. I realized that that was me. And you know it when you keep seeing it in other people. That's called projection. it's coming out of you and other people are mirroring it back so you can learn the soul lesson, but you keep thinking it's everyone else. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's the first step. Everything will change from here on up because you realize that. Oh my goodness, I feel like I need to light some more Palo Santo just to, oh my goodness, that's so powerful, so powerful. I love courage. I love like this vulnerability of just really being able to be honest. It's such a rare thing, isn't it? Just, I mean, not rare in my community, luckily, and I feel blessed that people trust me enough to share, but it's rare out in the world. So we were using some sacred smoke to just clear that out of us. Good. Khadija said, you made a video on Loveless and I made one for my friends. Oh my God. Thank you. Good. Good. It's life-changing, isn't it? Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on to Million Dollar Babe. When you're in the Million Dollar Babe archetype level of consciousness, you're in this point where everything that's happening around you, so you've made the love list, you've started manifesting these new people that are coming in your life, and you don't know if they're there to stick yet. So one of the what do I call this? One of the I guess issues I've seen is that when you're coming out of the self-aware Barbie mode, you're kind of hungry for friends, and you've done your inner work a little bit, you're becoming aware, and you've isolated yourself for some time, so you're kind of hungry for it. And don't go into it with this hungry ghost mentality, because a lot of the people that you will attract after you make the love list and realize, oh, I'm not resonating with this, will be people that may be there to teach you short-term lessons. So right now, don't be like this hungry ghost that, this is my friend, we're best friends now. No, everything we've learned in kindergarten about everyone is our friend is so wrong and so toxic. In fact, I undo a lot of I have a daughter that just started kindergarten this year, and so I'm undoing a lot of what she learns in kindergarten, because a lot of it is toxic actually, and you can get yourself in that nice girl syndrome if you really start believing it. So I help her overcome a lot of that while still playing along at school. So they're not all your friends. Right now, the people that are coming in are there because you have opened in, you have called for it by creating this love list. Some people that are there for some soul lessons. Some of these people will be your friends. Some will be momentary friends, like time selective. So allow it to have its natural progression. I cannot stress this enough. I got caught up in some friendships in the middle period there, because I was like, no, I just manifested these friends from my love list. No, they were there to help me up level to the level where I was actually going to get the real friends. So don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so Million Dollar Babe point, you're going to be all of a sudden having a lot of new people come into your life, and you just keep your heart open, and you don't have to do anything. There's no effort involved. There's no like, what's the lesson that I need to figure? Just let it naturally let it unfold, and you'll start seeing what's going on. Any new person that triggers you, that they're there to help you learn a lesson. That's that soul lesson that you need to start embodying to up level. Anytime you go into, I can't believe they said this, I can't, you've just downgraded yourself back to basic babe. Come back up here and start learning those soul lessons. So in this stage, you're going to be meeting a lot of new people. Keep yourself open. Don't get very cliquey yet. Don't be like, no, this is my group. And no, you allow that flow of all the people to come in, and just let your soul do its thing. The soul is here to learn a lesson, and it's evolving. Okay? So that will help you do that. I already answered that. Someone asked, after doing all inner work, I don't want to make friends. So there's no such thing as all inner work. Your inner work ends in this life when you die, and then it still continues. Your soul continues doing it, and then when you reincarnate, you do the next level. So there is no such thing as doing all your inner work. That is a myth. It does not exist. I already answered that. Watch the beginning. You are in the self-aware Barbie mode, where you will be avoiding people because you have some cleansing and some detoxing to do. That's a normal part of the process. I'm so happy because I'm doing shadow work and you're talking magic. Good. Awesome. When people come in and try to have when people come in, I try to have no expectations of the relationships. It helps a lot. Okay, you may be in that $1 million babe mode then, where you're just like, I don't know yet. We'll see how this unfolds. You're not like trying to be someone's best friend the first time you met them. You're also not trying to cut them out and resist them. It's this natural flow. Okay? When you're in the high-end divinity stage, it like toxic people, or it just doesn't even register in your plane. Remember, there's different planes of consciousness, and when you're in certain planes, you can't, we're used to living in this world in like space-time dimension, right? But if you kind of zoom out a little bit, you'll see that when you're on that plane, there is no such thing as anything toxic. It's just it's neutral. So you are not even resonating, you're not even vibrating at that level where anything could harm you as toxic, take away your energy. You are in command of your own energy, of your environment, of your own vibration. And so that's a completely different plane, and that's a lifetimes of work. Because as I said, there's no such thing as congratulations, here's your PhD, you have earned your inner work degree. The soul is forever evolving and growing until it goes back and merges with the one infinite creator. So it's all about progressing and letting the soul do its job. So I'm going to take a breather, read some of your comments, and then I'm going to share some ideas about what elevated friendships look like in my life right now, and also give you some examples of what toxic relationships look like, friendships looks like in my life before, and the contrast. Okay? Homemaking and healing, that's a really good point. As I mentioned, you're in the self-aware Barbie mode. When you come out of this, you'll realize that being triggered is great. When you've done a lot of inner work and you've isolated yourself a little bit in the self-aware Barbie mode, when you get into the $1 million babe mode, you're triggered a lot less. And because you're triggered a lot less, when you are triggered, it's almost a celebration because you're like, oh yes, there was something still there, and now I'm going to release it and work through it. So you're still wanting to evolve, and so you get to the stage where you actually welcome triggers. So I appreciate it, that honesty. Cookie said, how about if both your parents are toxic and you being an only child, feeling lonely, you can't share your pain with others? Why would you want to share your pain with others? Look at what you're saying, that you're in pain and you want to share your pain with someone else. You want to infect someone else with your pain. That's like saying, I have the flu. I wish I could share this flu with someone else. That's a different mindset, right? Now, maybe you want to get some healing. Now, that's a different framing, and you hire professionals for that. You seek out maybe people at your church or whatever, spiritual service that you follow. You seek out therapists and counselors and coaches, and you get some healing. But there's no point in trying to share your pain. Don't share your pain. Heal. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit yesterday about toxic venting. And I want to get into that a little bit and then share some personal examples from my own life. Toxic venting is basically everything. Okay, so every time you have I covered this a lot in my Sacred Feminine program. So I'm going to give you like the short version of it here. But every time you have an emotional charge to something, whether it's in your childhood or, early adulthood or adulthood, it creates an emotional, like it creates a toxic soup and a chemical reaction in your body, and that gets programmed in your body. It gets stuck in your body unless you know how to release it. Every time you recount something negative that happened, have negative thoughts, have another experience that's similar to that original experience, the neural pathways in your brain, the chemical soup in your body gets reactivated, and those reactions, those addictions get stronger and stronger and stronger every time. That's why negative thoughts are so toxic, because every time you have them, it's like getting a higher dosage of your cocaine hit. Like it's like you're becoming more and more addicted. So all of that gets really stuck in your cellular muscular memory, in your hormones, like it's all in your nervous system, it's in your energetic body, like you're infected with that. So you get this to the stage where it gets piled on each other. And oftentimes, if you're not doing practices or rituals or getting help, you are not releasing the stuck emotional charge, right? All of that emotional pain in your body, it's stuck there. So anything new that comes in has to get spit back out. So think of it this way. I gave the example yesterday in on the High Value Worthy Woman group. If there's a pot of water and it's full, any new water that comes in will immediately spill out. Correct? Any new water, it immediately spills out. If it's a trash can, it's full. Any new trash that someone puts in there, it immediately spills out. So when you're in that stage where you're really full of toxic emotions and repressed things in your body, you have emotional pain, you're in the basic babe stage, anytime something new happens to you, whether someone cuts you off in traffic or says something to you, or any little thing, you have to constantly keep spitting it out and reliving out that emotional addiction. So this is where toxic venting comes in. If you are the type of person that has to call 5 different people and recount every single detail and send screenshots of conversations and make sure that you were in the right and you were the victim and the other person was the wrong, can't believe she did this, and you have to keep doing this, have to keep making passive aggressive comments on Facebook and YouTube and all the stuff, that's toxic venting. You are disguising it. Your ego will disguise it as, oh, I'm just venting, I'm just releasing, and my friends should be there for me. No, your friends are buying you, it's the equivalent of your friends buying you drugs. That's toxic venting. Healthy venting, typically in a normal, like, human being's life, right? Not even normal, the average, like most human beings' life, actual venting is 2 to 3 times a year. Some crisis really actually happens in your life, and you choose one person that you look up to that is a little bit higher level consciousness, or maybe they've been through this thing, and you call that one person and you ask them for their permission. You say, hey, I'm really going through something. When would be a good time to talk to you? Maybe they invite you to lunch. Maybe they say now would be a good time. And then you share with them. It's not like I have been dealing with this for a long time, and I will answer the phone. There's no hi, hello, nothing. It's just like, hello? 40, 50 minutes of non-stop toxic venting, and then bye, gotta go. Hi, how are you? Thanks for asking, right? And God forbid if I have to leave and go do something, right? If I answer the call And 20 minutes in, I really have to, like, literally have to go take care of a child or something. You're never there for me. I'm there every single day, but it's an every single day occurrence. And most of that stuff is made up stuff. It's not real crisis. It's not real, like, once in a while kind of things that you're really struggling through. Another sign of someone that's in a healthy venting, healthy relationship is when they end up venting, they will stop and then you get to give feedback or offer your support. When it's toxic venting, if God forbid you should offer any type of support or feedback, they will just spit more stuff on you. So they're not ready to hear anything because they're here to get their high. How dare you get in the way of that? So you see how it's a different experience, very different experience. So if you are someone that constantly needs to vent, you need to hire a professional. You need to do inner work. You need to read books. You need to elevate your consciousness. And I shared some healthy things that you can do to release that pent-up energy. But what's going to happen is basically with that healthy things, you're just releasing the new things that are coming up, right? So for example, let's using the pot example. If you have this really full pot of really emotional toxic stuff that's stuck in your body, the new stuff that comes in, I can tell you, we'll journal about it. Let's do our chakra cleanse that I shared yesterday. Some emotional releasing dance. Now, keep in mind that those are all really good activities, but they're just releasing the new stuff that's coming in. You still have to do the inner work and get rid of the rest of it, because if you don't, the body will find a way to keep getting louder and louder, right? So all of these outside triggers will turn into actual physical pain in the body, manifesting of diseases in the body. I mean, so many things. I have several clients that had suffered from thyroid issues their entire lives, or like 20, 30, 40 years. They're on thyroid medications. After we did inner work, we cleansed their throat chakra. We went through a lot of changes in their actual life, emotional body, physical life. And their doctors had to remove their medication. First, their doctors were confused, like, what's going on? They thought their medication was like they needed to be on a different medication, because that medication actually became a problem because they had actually healed themselves. So it can actually manifest as a disease, and you need to really think your disease. That's why I say that my autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, was one of the best things that happened to me. Oh my God, I thank my soul every day for manifesting that disease, because I was the type of person at that time that needed a loud wake-up call. Otherwise, I would not be here today. I would not have been able to heal through not only that, but I wouldn't have known that I had all this emotional trauma stuck in my body that needed to be released. So you really have to go through this work. You really have to go through this work. Otherwise it will keep manifesting in your life. Let's see. I think that's what I want to share for today. Let me think. I'll answer any questions that you guys have. No, one more thing. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm going to share 2 examples of like toxic life-sucking relationships or friendships, and then life-giving relationships. So this was about 7 years ago. My husband introduced me to my husband has a friend, and he was like, oh, we should hang out with them as a family. Their kids are the same age as our boys, and you'd get along with their wife. And so we started hanging out as a couple, as a family actually, and I immediately noticed that there was this, I'm an empath. I read energies, and at that time I didn't know like officially that I read energies and stuff, but I knew that I feel either really uplifted or really drained in certain environments. So immediately I noticed that first, couple things. First, that she was just a very like negative, she made a lot of negative statements, and not like, everything that came out of her mouth was very negative, but some of it was more toxic than other things. And it didn't necessarily bother me, as like I didn't know her, so I wasn't taking anything personally. However, I noticed that I felt very drained after spending time with her. Just very drained. And you guys know I'm not one for medications. I don't pop pain medications. I do very holistic practices. But I noticed that when she came in my life, that was a period that I took the most Advil in my entire life. Because when we would hang out, I would just get headaches and just feel really drained. And to give you an example of the kind of the comments that she would make, we still know this family, by the way, but I don't hang out with them. My husband knows the situation. But let me give you some of the examples of some of the comments that she made. So when Alina was born, Alina's going to be 6. So she saw, we knew them when I was pregnant with her. And so when she was born, here are some of the comments that she made. She said, why do you call, so most of you guys know Arman is from my previous marriage, right? And so she would be like, why are you saying that, in front of Arman, right? Why are you saying that this is Arman's sister? Because like when Arman would be playing with her, I would say, oh, you're being so nice to your sister. Oh, that's so sweet. She would say, that's not her brother. They're not brother and sister. Why would you call, that's really hurtful and toxic in front of a little child that doesn't know at that time, right? At that point, like Arman doesn't know that they're half brother and sister, but why would you even make these kind of comments? And then she would be like, things like, oh, I can't believe someone like you would have such a beautiful daughter. She definitely takes after her dad because look nothing like her. Just like weird comments like that. Or she would be like, oh, I counted all the pictures in your house and Arman has 2 less pictures than all of your other kids. How come Arman has less pictures? Like, just like weird things like that. And again, I didn't take any of it personally. It said more about her than it did anything about my family. But I noticed that it was just like energetically draining. So I try to keep it up because my husband and her husband were friends and the boys were getting along. But then at one point it was just so draining that I just said to my husband, I don't think I'm going to be spending that much time with them. If you want to hang out with her husband, that'd be great. But I don't think I'm going to be spending time with her. And I didn't give him any details or anything. In fact, recently, Irfan, we ran into them at another party, and Irfan was like, by the way, you didn't tell me why you didn't. And so I shared some of the stuff, and he was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I'm like, no. So that's a life draining friendship, right? Because I think it was like a year and a half period where we were like on and off hanging out with them. But every single time it was just like this draining kind of weird commentary. And even now, we recently met her at a party, and my 15-year-old didn't attend this party. When they're 15, they're at that age where they make those decisions for themselves. The first thing how come you didn't bring Arman? And I was like, your boys aren't here. Where are they? And she's like, oh, they like being at home. I'm like, same as Arman. But it's like she just became obsessed with him, and so that to me is like not a life-giving relationship. So you just gotta let the universe kind of deselect. It doesn't have to be anything. You don't have to have heavy conversations. Like I just let kind of the universe deselect. I let my husband know very politely, I don't think we're going to be spending, or you could, and there's, by the way, my husband and her husband are the best of friends. We just don't hang out as a family. Let me give you a life-giving relationship example. So my husband's best friend of 16 years, they're such best friends that when they actually met in New York, where Irfan used to live, and then they both got a job in South Carolina, moved there, and then his best friend moved to Houston, and we moved to Houston within the year. Like they're just best friends. They might as well be brothers. And so when his best friend got married, I think it's been close to 5 years now. So his wife came into my life, and at first glance, she's the one that actually helped me realize that I don't need like-minded friends. I need like energy friends, like vibration friends, because at the surface, if you look at both of us, you would be like, Mina, you have nothing in common with her. But she is such a life-giving soul in my life. And I hope that I am able to do that for her. But it's like she's a high-level corporate executive. She's got younger children. She's got different tastes, different interests, different hobbies. Like we have on the surface, we have nothing in common. However, we hang out with them probably around twice a month and consistently have done that for 5 years. Again, this is Irfan's like might as well be brother friend for 16 years. And every time we plan out hangouts where we're with them like 12 hours a day, right? All day together. And I feel energized, and it's like up, it's like your energy goes up in that company. And if I told you like what we talk about, like there's no like thing that we're connected. It's just like life-giving. It's very supportive. It's very uplifting. It's very easy, right? It just flows. And previously to meeting her, I thought I needed like-minded friends. And I think she blew that myth for me, because we have nothing in common really, except like we just get along really well together. It's just easy. In fact, her twin daughters, I feel like I manifested them because I knew I wasn't going to have any more kids, but I wanted more girls in my life. And like, they're just so adorable. They're just, I mean, it's like, it's having 2 extra daughters that I didn't have to like go through childbirth or anything for. So that is a life-giving relationship. It's a life-giving friendship. Like you just can't get enough of each other. Like you want to hang out with each other. And it's not like when we get together, it's constant chatting either. Like we can be in each other's company and there's presence and we'll talk, and then there's silence, and then there's just being together. And then it's like watching our kids play together. It's easy. It's effortless. It's up-leveling. It's focused on support. So does that help you? Like it's very different. Hopefully that helps you guys. Let's see. Yes, Abby, she said that I have older half siblings and used to hear those comments. Yes, Irfan has a half sister as well, and he could really relate to like how icky those kind of, because you don't, when you're a child, like you don't think about those things. Like kids aren't separated in that way. I don't know where adults like want to come in and plant that. So it's so gross, so icky. That's such a good point. Look for energy friends as long as I'm trying to be high vibration. Yes. Yes, talk when you actually have something to say. Exactly. And I'm so blessed. Oh my God. I just want to say a thank you to the divine, and thanks to my very high level girlfriends that I've manifested in my life, and they just up level me and bring so much peace and joy and growth in my life. I have been able to manifest quite a few of these girlfriends in my life now. And I think I needed Christy, this Irfan's best friend's wife that I'm telling you, to make me realize that I didn't even know what I was looking for. Because it's not like we have similar hobbies. We have very different tastes. On the surface, it's like we have nothing in common. Oh, we both do love to eat, actually. Probably we love to eat. So maybe that's in common. But it's just, and she's not into like the spiritual growth. She doesn't know the law of it. Like she's not into anything that I'm into. But it's like our souls, just like there's just this ease of being. So she helped me put that in perspective. And then now that the friends that I have, it's not this constant chatty type of thing. It's life-giving. I keep saying that word, but it's life-giving. And I have some certain, I don't want to call them rules. Let's call them vows. For those of you guys that are coming into my Fire Flow and Goddess Consciousness retreat next month in Houston, less than 30 days left, I think, at this point. where I'm giving you like in the ebook, there's, I think it's like 40 pages at this point. I'm still working on it. I'm giving you guys an ebook with all my goddess vows in there. But and maybe I'll add these to it. I've got some friendship vows that I have taken with myself. And I don't know if I'm going to remember all of them from the top of my head, but please, if you would like, I would like to share them with you. One of the biggest vow that I took is that my friends do not need to hear every opinion that I have. They don't need to hear every opinion that I have. And how that translated into vow number 2, these aren't in any particular order. I'm just telling you these are the ones that are really important. So if someone asks for my opinion, if my friend asks for my opinion or is showing me something or just sharing something with me, I feel like my job, I hate that word, but like my duty, I hate that word too. My vow is that I want to leave this person up-leveled, or I want to offer something that's life-giving. Not fixing them, but life-giving. And this is, I actually shared this with Irfan a few years ago because I actually saw him doing this the opposite way with a friend. And I was like, babe, can I share something with you that it's really coming up for me? Is if they've already made the decision, my job as a friend is to help them align with it, not to share my uninvited opinion. So for example, if someone is already in a relationship with someone, if someone has already bought the house, if someone has already purchased the dress, if someone has already worn the shoes, and they show it to me or ask my opinion, it's completely irrelevant how I actually feel about that thing. Because if I say, ew, those are ugly, or yeah, big mistake buying that house you can't afford, huh? Right? How is that life-giving to my friend? How is that life-giving? It sucks the energy out of them. It makes them feel bad, right? So how do I handle this? I help them make that decision for themselves without wanting to fix them, right? So everything has positive attributes as well. So again, the shoes, let me give you the shoes example. What do you think of these shoes? They look great on you if I feel that they look great on her. If they don't look great on her, I'll say, oh, you could wear that with so many different things, right? There's something positive. Now, I'm still being authentic because I'm not saying something that's not true, but there's always positive and negative. This is the nature of polarity. There's always highs and lows, dark and light, bad and good. Like there's polarity in everything. So I help them at that point. They can't return it. They've already worn the shoes or they already bought the house, right? So help them. What will be more life-giving will be to align with it. So for example, I actually had a friend, this is years ago, that had bought a house that was a little bit too expensive. Now her partner had been saying it, oh, this is a little bit out of our budget. Like we're going to have to cut back a lot. Like, you know, all this stuff. And so she bought this house and all of a sudden it hit her that now they're having to make all these like cutbacks. Like they can't go out to eat as much. Like they have these, but they've already bought the house. She's already realized her mistake, right? And so now she comes to me and she says, I can't believe it. Like, you know, so my husband was saying this, I bought the house, I feel so stuck. So what was my response? Like, yeah, you know, the house is stretching your budget a little bit. I can see that. But there's an opportunity of growth here. Like maybe this is going to give you guys an opportunity to find out the things that really weren't adding value in your life. Maybe this is going to help you both come back together as a couple and figure out ways to up-level your income. Maybe it's going to bring you closer in your spiritual growth of realizing to take each other's opinions and concerns into account. And she was like, Yeah, so this is a spiritual lesson. I'm like, yeah, I could see it as that. Yeah, I could see that. And now all of a sudden, it's not like this hot potato of this house that she has to like do something with. She's already bought the house. They're already living in it. They're already having to, like, me putting more heavy energy on her is not life giving to her. So she's asking for my opinion. I'm not being dishonest. I didn't say, no, no, this is the best decision you could have made. No, there's some negatives to it. But it's that gentle reframing, right? And then when I went to her house, just pointing out some of the things that she really does love about it, because she does love the house. Yeah, she's having to cut back a little bit, but she does love the house. So you can't take that away. Don't let that negative one thing take away the fact that she's in her dream house, right? Maybe it's going to take her a little bit longer to furnish it, maybe XYZ. But hey, you're in your dream house though. You did it. So that's life giving. So let me know if this is helpful. Like you have to, so something like this happened I told you I shared this with my husband a few years ago because he was on the phone with a friend and his friend had already made a very important decision. And I could tell from the conversation that his friend was having second doubts. And the conversation that Irfan was participating in was making his friend's doubts worse. And so I usually don't coach my husband, it kills polarity, all of that. But I know this friend as well. And so when he hung up, I said, babe, if you may allow, I want to share something with you. I couldn't help but overhearing. I'm like, it seems like your friend is really feeling bad about this decision. And I was like, maybe we can help them by helping them better align with this decision, because whether we like it or not, and whether they like it or not, they've made that decision already. And sometimes with these decisions, it takes a while to come out of them, right? Like relationships, selling a house and buying another one, changing jobs. So you don't want that person to be stuck in that heavy energy. That's not a life-giving friendship. And so the best thing you can do in that situation is help them better align and make peace with the circumstances so that they can make more empowered decisions and learn the soul lessons. So to me, that is a life-giving friendship. That's the right way to seek advice and give advice. You always want to ask permission. You never want to try to fix someone else, be spiritually superior than someone else. No one wants to be fixed. People want to be witnessed. They want to be allowed and accepted. They want to be loved. Okay? Oh, I like that. Help them align with it. That totally clicked. Ray, I love that. Thank you. Khadija says, my friends don't need to hear every opinion that I have. You just explained all the questions I had. Thank you so much. Yes, your opinions are for you. Your opinions are for you. I actually have dealt many years, decades with friends that would say things like if I wore a new dress, ew, that's an ugly dress, or your hair looks really bad like that, or you look sick, are you okay? That's not life-giving. That's not life-giving to me. Or if a friend calls and they say, what were you doing? And I'm like, oh, I was getting some work done. Ew, your life sucks. I love my work. Thank you very much. I created this business. Remember, I love it. So, that kind of stuff. And be aware of basic Barbies that mask a lot of their kind of toxic opinion sharing and venting into, can't you take a joke? Nope, those are not jokes. So I love comedy. And my two favorite comedians are Jerry Seinfeld and Ellen DeGeneres. What do those two comics have in common? Can anyone guess? Their comedy is life-giving comedy. They don't make jokes on the expense of someone else. People who are really insecure and really in emotional and physical pain typically try to numb that out by projecting their pain on other people's. That's where those jokes come in. Can't you take a joke? God, I was just joking. A joke is life-giving. It's when everyone laughs. It's not at the expense of calling someone names, belittling someone else, making someone fun of someone's clothing, their house. That's not funny. That's hurtful people hurting other people, right? Trying to. So know the difference, and like, don't fall in for that, right? I would be like, maybe I can't take a joke, really? But a lot of those jokes were like tearing me down. Like the intent was to tear me down. I didn't let them, thankfully, but the intent was negative. So no, don't let them disguise that. Jokes are life-giving. Their laughter is life-giving. It's life-enhancing. So I like Jerry Seinfeld's comedy. I like Ellen's comedy. It's clean comedy. It's life-giving. It's not the expense of someone else. Okay? Amanda said, biggest takeaways so far. Number one. Oh, I love it when you guys do this because it really helps other people. Thank you, Amanda. She said, biggest takeaways so far. We need like frequency friends, not like-minded friends. Yes. Our job is to help our friends align with their decisions. Wow. Yes. Yes. Especially if they're really struggling and coming to you, right? So we don't want to do this in a way where we're guessing, right? It's like someone's just showing you their house and you're like, well, there's some positive things about this house. And they're like, yeah, I love my house, right? But you know what I mean? It's like if they're asking and you can see that they're in a little bit of a turmoil, or, you know, so you can help them while still being authentic, Your real life examples are so valuable. Thank you for sharing. Oh, thank you, Alex. Alice, thank you. I'm so glad that they're helpful. Ray said, did you watch the latest stand-up of Ellen on Netflix? Hilarious, especially when she was talking about how she tries on shoes. I think I did see that one. When you say latest, this was like earlier this year, right? Yeah, I think Irfan and I watched that. We love her. She's awesome. We love Jerry too. So good. Girl boss, that's a basic babe question. Mina, what do we do if our friend doesn't plan for your birthday but expects us to do best for theirs? Basic babe mode, right? Victimhood. Okay. If you have a friend that you feel like doing something for your birthday, for their birthday, would be such a present to you, like just celebrating their birthday would be a gift for you. Celebrate their birthday. That's it. That's the end of it. So as many of you guys know, I just had my 39th birthday last month, and this was my most celebrated birthday. I think we had like 8 different parties because I had my thing with my family, with Irfan, my kids. And then all of the other ones were my girlfriends arranging different get-togethers, different parties, different surprise. I'm so blessed. There was no expectation there. They were doing it not for me, but because it was a gift in their giving. You could tell that there was joy in their giving. It's a completely different playing field. So get out of that frequency. None of what I say may even make sense to you right now. It's a different frequency. It really is. How can men do their inner work, or when a wife does her inner work, husbands automatically up level? So this depends on whether you are in a life lesson relationship or a soulmate or a twin flame relationship. Great question, by the way. So this is not the scope of this video though, so I won't get into too much into it, but I talk about this in my Conscious Couples program. In soulmate and twin flame relationships, when a woman does her inner work, it instantly transforms into the masculine, and when he does it, it instantly transforms in you. I have no explanation of it. It's spiritual. I've seen it. It's awesome. It's just awe-inspiring because you don't even discuss it. It's like you do your inner work and they get up leveled. They do their inner work and you get up leveled. It's just so beautiful. In a life lesson relationship, those are the ones where you're supposed to get teared down and deconstructed. And you're supposed to learn the lesson and then let that person go and move on. In those relationships, they're not going to up level with you. You can try your hardest. You can take them to therapy. You can take them to counseling. You can do books and rituals and witchcraft, and it's a lesson relationship. The best thing you can do is learn the spiritual lesson and let that relationship go and serve its time and move on. So completely different relationships. Okay, so let me see if there's any questions that I missed that relate to this topic. For those of you guys that are contemplating Fire Flow Goddess Consciousness, link is in the description. We've got less than 30 days happening in Houston. You have to check this out. It's life-changing work. We're going to do a lot of energetic work, a lot of rituals, ceremonies. It's going to be amazing. Go check out the page, and we've already got over 20 women that have signed up. It's just, if you want to experience life-giving, life-changing, elevated sisterhood, you need to come. And we've got some men coming too. We've got husbands coming to help out and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let me see. Any other questions coming up for you guys? Doing something every day to improve it's an amazing advice for me from all the videos. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, okay, perfect. A lot of women that follow me do that, have like their husband's accounts. Totally understand. All right. So girl boss, I can really feel that you're in very much basic babe mode right now. I say this with love. I've been there. You will keep, the reason that you keep sharing this and wanting to share this and you're not hearing what I'm saying is because there's an addiction there. And again, I say this with love. I'm going to clear the energy and let's get you some inner work and get you some healing going, okay? I promise that I know you can't hear what I'm really saying. There's an addiction there. There's an addiction there. I'm sorry. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. I will see you guys in the Fire Flow and Goddess Consciousness. And if not, I also have a 30% off monthly membership of Magnetism and Miracles. That program was designed for $1 Million Babes, meaning self-aware Barbies wanting to go to $1 Million Babe. But now I'm adding some really witchy, juicy, high-level, high priestess work, high-end divinity work in there. 2020, I'm going to be devoting most of my energy into that Magnetism and Miracles group coaching. So now is the time to lock in that price. The 30% off code is next level. And I'll put that in the comments afterwards. Thank you so much for coming and spending this time with me. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of my community here, my elevated sister tribe. Thank you so much. Bye.